Okay guys, today we are going to be talking about the Geneva Towers that was located in Visitation Valley community in San Francisco. We'll discuss when they were built, what occurred over time, and why they were torn down. Before we start, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more of these type videos. Okay, let's hop right into it. The Geneva Towers was a 220-story high-rise apartment buildings comprised of 576 units. In 1964, an influential real estate developer, Joe Eckler, had a plan to provide housing for middle-income airport workers on the outskirts of San Francisco. The towers was originally made for people in the middle to upper-class economic level. Unfortunately, it was a struggle to maintain due to the lack of empty apartments. Due to the towers not being filled by the airport workers, Section 8 housing assistance was granted, which led to the towers becoming essentially a 100% low-income. Keith Axtell, a West Coast regional director for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, stated during a tenure, "We had no immediate grounds for foreclosure. However, they did not invest the funds needed to maintain the property properly. So elevators continued breaking down in this high-rise building. People were having to walk. Many other physical deficiencies, health issues. So we finally made a case. Through physical examinations we did and went to court, and were able to get probably one of the first in the nation foreclosures based on poor physical conditions rather than a mortgage default." Fast forward to 1991, HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, decided to take over the Geneva Towers due to the poor living conditions they were in. The 90s was a part of the crack epidemic, as you may know. With drugs came gangs to protect, and with gangs came violence. Lots and lots of violence. Residents of the towers recalled there being dead bodies tossed outside of the windows.
Bodies was coming out of the windows.
No.
Dead people.
Most wanted to move as far as possible away from the towers because of how dangerous it became over the years. It was so dangerous even a police officer admitted to being afraid to walk inside of the towers in a documentary.
Police officers will go some places where angels fear to tread. We didn't even want to tread into the towers.
So if even the cops wouldn't go in, who would?
There was a man by the name Eli Gregg, a member of a Baptist church, who was brave enough to go inside of the building to talk to the drug dealers and violent residents. His solution was to lock it down. To lock it down, a 10-foot high security fence was placed around the towers that prevented non-residents from entering. Everyone who tried to get in would have to enter through a single security room. For their safety, bulletproof glass was placed to protect the workers inside the building. All hallways, garages, and outside of the building would be now monitored by monitoring systems placed in the towers. The most controversial part of the new implementation was the 60 trained armed guards placed in the towers. The guards had more firearm than the typical guard, but they had to. Many guards said the violent residents had more dangerous weapons than them. It became bad for the criminals to move throughout the building because everywhere they turned there was security. Over time, the violence did decrease, but unfortunately there was another problem residents faced throughout the building. Though the crime went down, the dozens of armed guards stayed, as well as the strict security throughout. People began to feel like they were in a prison. Many residents said guards would follow you around and constantly question you. It got to the point the residents felt harassed. It no longer felt like a home, as people would be locked in the building. A resident named Shirley Lee, who was a longtime resident of the Geneva Towers, recalls an incident at 2 a.m. where her door was kicked in by guards and police looking for a robbery suspect that was seen in the hallway security footage close to her door. In a documentary, she stated, "And when I opened the door, they rushed, and I'm looking down the barrel of 357s. Not one, not two,
not three. All of them had guns.
Drawn.
And they were drawn.
And they went through my house. They searched my closets. They searched my bedrooms. They went up under the beds. They looked everywhere looking for a man."
Nevertheless, she doesn't sleep as well ever since the police and guards burst in.
A leader of the guards said that if he was her, he would find it easier to sleep at night knowing that someone is out there looking out for my welfare.
I wouldn't say we burst in. If I were that individual, I would probably find it easier to sleep at night knowing that someone is out there looking out for my welfare.
That's the question I've been asking myself ever since that happened to me. Should I feel lucky or should I feel unlucky? At that time, I did not feel lucky. I felt bad. That's the price I have to pay for being low income and not having the means to live somewhere that is secure where I don't have to have guards walking around.
Residents stressed that their protest wasn't to get rid of the guards, but to not get treated as if they were criminals.
I hate this impression that we are fighting against having a safe, decent place to live. This is not true.
There are other apartment buildings in which you buzz in to get in, and they have guards sometimes.
But they're not infested with guards.
Over time, the drug dealing shifted outside of the building's complex, which gave kids a chance to play outside again. There was even a Geneva Towers baseball team that was implemented for the youth. On May 16, 1998, the Geneva Towers was set to be demolished. Many people gathered around to watch a place they once called home collapse right in front of their eyes. There were a lot of mixed emotions. There were people that were cheering and clapping, and there were people crying and heartbroken. Although the Geneva Towers are now gone, many people from the community still gather once a year for an annual reunion. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also comment down below what else you guys want to see. Until next time.